Hello, everybody. Thank you so much, my dear friend Debbie. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. First of all, I would like to congratulate all those behind the scene noble heads who made this Only Green channel possible because you guys are doing a wonderful job. You are making our earth more greener. You are making our planet a better place to live, at least for our next generations. So, for whatever you are doing, a big salute from the core of my heart. So my main objective today is to tell you what exactly is conservation photography, what is the major difference between wildlife photography and conservation photography. And many of you may be already a conservation photographer. So in that case, I will get you the tools you require to make our planet a better place to live by making use of your photographs. The main difference between wildlife photography and conservation photography is that, in my opinion, in wildlife photography, you are taking something from the forest or taking something from the nature, and whereas in conservation photography, you are giving something back to the nature. I will explain to you. See, in wildlife photography, what a photographer does, you go to the forest, take some photographs, come back, edit it, process it, post it upload in the social media. He will be getting some likes and comments, maybe some accolades from his friends and relatives. So whatever some fame he will get out of those photographs. So whatever you are achieving, that you are achieving something. Okay, you are getting something from the nature. Whereas in conservation photography, everything remains the same. You are going to the forest, taking photographs, coming back, editing it, posting it in the social media. But this time it is not for the likes and comments, but you wanted your audience to stimulate some action. You wanted your audience to do some action on that photograph. So you are calling for an action. You are asking your audience to contribute something to the cause. So that is the major difference between wildlife photography and the conservation photography. So how you are going to do it? That is what I am going to tell you next. For a conservation photographer, the most important thing is you need a strong photo. So what do you mean by a strong photo? So that I will explain to you by showing some of my photographs which I have taken from the various wildlife sanctuaries and forests in and around India, so that you will get a better understanding about the concept of conservation photography. What is the difference between conservation photography and wildlife photography? The picture which I have chosen to show you first is that of a tiger which I have taken from the Kapini forest recently. This picture is not anything particular in it. There is nothing particular, nothing special in it. But just to tell you something about the tiger. Why it is important to have a tiger in an ecosystem. Why an ecosystem with a tiger population is considered to be the best ecosystem. These are the animals, tigers, lions, leopards, and all that, are the animals who are regulating the overpopulation of the grazing animals, the herbivorous animals. Why it is important to control, to regulate the overpopulation of grazing animals, because if there is any deficiency of vegetation inside the forest, these animals will come to your agricultural land and they will eat up your crops. So it is very important to regulate the population of these herbivorous animals, and that is exactly what these tigers, leopards, and lions are doing inside the forest. So that is why this tiger is such an iconic, awe-inspiring animal. And such a beautiful, magnificent animal. Every photographer has got a dream of taking the picture of a tiger, particularly during their initial stages of their photography. So this is the picture which I have taken. I will show you one or two photographs of tigers which I have taken from Kapini. And the next photograph I wanted to show you is that of a leopard, from the same place, taken from the same place, that is Kapini. And this is the first lesson I just wanted to tell you. Always focus on the eyes of the subject, of the animal. For a wildlife photographer, the subject is definitely the animals and birds. So the first and foremost thing you should keep in your mind is you have to focus on the eyes of that animal, because eyes are actually conveying a message directly to the audience. Looking at the eyes of an animal or a bird, a message is conveyed loud and clear to the audience. So always focus on the eyes of the animal. So this leopard is telling something to you, right? He is telling that you please preserve us, protect us, save us. Otherwise, the next time when you are coming with your kid to the same place, I may not be available to appear before you. So that's why, because all these carnivorous animals are in the verge of extinction, many of them. I will tell you the story of the tiger, because in 2005 there were only 1,500 tigers in our sanctuaries. Whereas in 2018, as per the census conducted in 2018, there were about 3,000. There are about 3,000 tigers available in our Indian sanctuaries. That is a good sign because of the stringent measures taken by the government to protect these tigers. So their population is now increased to almost 3,000. It's a good number. So let me continue by telling you this is the photographs you are seeing, right? Is that of a leopard? They are taken from the company, as I told you. Like this, they are also doing the same thing because these tigers, leopards, lions, they are actually playing a pivotal role in an ecosystem, and they always try to make our ecosystem healthy. So that is why they are very important in our ecosystem. We want them in our forest. The next picture I just wanted to show you is that of a kingfisher, which I have taken from the wetlands of Punchakiri near Trivandrum. Why I have chosen this photo to show you this? Because what a reason behind it. The Punchakiri is actually maybe most of the audience are from the Trivandrum. They are knowing this place, Punchakiri. This is near Vellaini. This is near the Vellaini Lake. So in 2015, when I started my ambition as a photographer, I used to frequent this place many times, particularly during holidays. I used to see a lot of migratory birds there. But if you are going to Punchakiri now, you may not be able to see much of these migratory birds. There are few birds are still there, but many of the migratory birds are abandoned this place as their destination, and their number has depleted, and they have number has reached a very considerable level because of the plastic pollution and the habitat loss. When I shoot this picture, this was highly appreciated in the photographers groups and all that. And to get a kingfisher right in the middle of a sun glitter, and that also sitting at the top of the paddle of a boat, is a very, very rare frame. It's a beautiful frame. And this picture you may not be able to get nowadays because the in and around Punchakiri's excessive use of pesticide, plastic pollution, depleted water level, all these issues have considerably reduced the number of migratory birds and other birds who are coming to Punchakiri nowadays. So always remember that the animals and birds have the equal right to live in this planet as you have. You have the right to live in this planet, and at the same time, all these animals and birds, they also have the same right to live in this planet. So the next picture I just wanted to show you is another lesson to make your photos stronger. That is, always concentrate on the behavioral pictures or the action pictures. Taking the photograph of a lot of a lion in Serengeti or Masai Mara is, of course, it's a fantastic thing as a photographer, as a wildlife photographer. But as a conservation photographer, you should always concentrate on the action photographer or the behavior photography. The behavior photography will give an appeal to the audience. They will be attracted to that particular photographs. And this particular photo which is now displaying at your screen is that of a bonnet macaque with a small baby, which I have taken somewhere in a remote village in Tamil Nadu. I just wanted you to just observe the face of that baby bonnet macaque. He's absolutely, stress-free. He's absolutely not bothered about my presence there. Whereas, just look at his mother. She's concerned. She's concerned about my presence there. She's looking around, and she's happy about my presence there. So, but this baby is least bothered about me. And the next photo just I want to show you is of similar nature, which I have taken from through my windows in my house at Patnam, Toronto, and that of a mongoose and a small baby. And when we photographers take a picture, we try to be as discreet and as unobtrusive as possible, and we will not make any sound. But the shutter, when we press the shutter, there's a small sound rise from our camera, and see the mother has clearly observed from where the sound is coming from, whereas that baby is least bothered about it because that baby is in the lap of her mother. So that baby is least bothered about me taking this photograph of that animal. But his mother just observed from where the subtle sound is coming from, where the small sound is coming from. So that's it. So whenever a kid or a child seeing these photographs, he will be enamored by the beauty of these pictures, and he will also want to see the baby of a mongoose, baby of a bonnet macaque, and he will always want to shoot, to photograph these type of animals. So naturally they will get that innate, ambition in their mind that our forest is required, these type of places are required for us to see these type of animals. So this is a good sign. So the conservation photograph should always showcase these type of pictures to the next generation, so that they should understand the importance of these animals, and they will always strive hard to protect and preserve these animals. The next photograph I want to show you is that of a giant grizzled squirrel, which I have taken from Chinnar Forest. I want to tell you about giant grizzled squirrel. These animals are only available in India, and that too in the southern part of India. Nowhere you can see a grizzled squirrel in the whole planet. And I just try to understand that there are only 12 or 13 giant grizzled squirrels available in the Chinnar Forest. See, I am not talking about elephants, I am not talking about leopards, I am not talking about tiger. I am talking about squirrel, a small animal which only in the Chinnar, huge, in this whole Chinnar Forest, there are only 14 or 15, 12 to 15 numbers of giant grizzled squirrel. So even if you have seen one giant grizzled squirrel, you have seen almost 98% of those animals, if my mathematics is correct. So that is the importance of preserving these type of animals in our forest, because as I have told you, they are available only in the southern part of India. Nowhere else you can spot a giant grizzled squirrel in the whole earth. So it is very important for us to preserve these type of animals, because they are on the verge of extinction, and if we are not taking proper care of these animals, most probably these animals will be extincted from this earth very, very soon. So just to tell you, the cause is definitely the deforestation, and because of this deforestation, the habitat loss has caused, and because of this habitat loss, these animals are on the verge of extinction. So we have to focus on these things very, very with top priority. I'm not blaming the other photographers who are always concentrated on the lions or big cats and etc. They are doing their job. Of course, that is also important to give us some mental pleasure. But taking these type of behavior photos and rare animals are also very important when we are talking about the conservation photography. So these are the pictures which I have to show, and it is not important for a conservation photographer to always focus on the positive sides. Whatever the pictures that I have already shown to you are positive figures, positive pictures. But at the same time, as a conservation photographer, you are also required to focus your camera towards some negative things. This is the picture which I have taken from the Pathanamthitta district of Kerala. During the century of flood time, I got an opportunity to visit those places on my official capacity. I had to visit some of my branches which were inundated in the flash flood. So I was among the first among few who got the opportunity to visit those places. You are seeing a boat right in the middle of a marketplace. This is not a place where you are expecting a boat to be there, right? You wanted to see a boat in the sea, the river, or a lake, but of course not in the middle of a marketplace. These boats were taken to those places where the people were stranded, and these were brought to those places for rescuing the people who were stranded in this flood. And this boat is waiting for its container lorry to pick it up and transported to Trivandrum district. And when I was returning from Pathanamthitta to Trivandrum, I got this picture: a boat right in the middle of a marketplace. This is actually an effect of the global warming. Global warming, but the global warming is not exclusively the main reason for it. There are so many factors involving humans are also there. Unplanned urbanization, unplanned sewage and drainage system, and this excessive construction of these resorts around the tourist centers. All this causes this flood. And what is flood? A sudden heavy rainfall in a short duration of time, that causes flood. So this water has to be absorbed in the ground, and if there is no place for this water to get absorbed in the ground, the water has to be stopped somewhere to get absorbed in the ground. And if you are not giving any obstacle for this water to stop and absorb to the ground, it will flow directly towards the sea in no time. So that causes flood. So it is very important to you to understand we should have some space. We should give some space to this water to get stored at some place, different places, and get absorbed to the ground. That is very important, but which we are not doing. And of course, the Kerala people have learned a lesson from this, and I hope that they will refrain from doing all these activities like excessive concrete constructions and pavements. So let us hope so. So that is one very important aspect about it. These are the things which you have to keep in mind when you are discussing about the strong photos. So these strong photos will convey some message to your audience. So the next part is storytelling. So okay, you have taken these pictures from the various parts of the world. These strong pictures are available in your album. Now you want to display this image to your audience, because you want to tell a story about these pictures to your audience. So the best thing is that there are various ways of telling the story. If you are a good writer, you have got the caliber of writing something, you write the story. When you are posting these photos or uploading these photos to the social media, along with that, you can write a small description about what you have seen. Because see, the photographer is through his photograph can only convey 20% of what he has observed in that place. The 80% is in his brain, right? So what the audience sees only 20%. For example, if I am seeing a sunrise in Kabani or a sunset in some mountain places, I'm clicking a picture, I'm showing it to the audience, I can only show you 20% of it. 80% of the beauty is in my brain. So that remaining 80%, at least 60% you can convey to your audience through your writing. You write well and explain to them, these are actually happened at that place. So that is very important for you as a conservation photographer. The audience should get an impression about this picture. Why this mountain is so blue? Why this is so golden color in this dusk? And all these type of things you have to convey to your audience through your writing. So that is the best part. If you can write, that is the best part. Otherwise, you can start. There are so many other ways of storytelling. You can make small YouTube videos. You can tell them, if you are not good at writing, you can talk to your audience that this is what I have seen at that space. You can make small videos and all that. And through all these means, you can tell the story what you have observed in the first. Because see, always remember, photography is not something that comes naturally to everybody. You should need that passion, you should need that time, and there are so many restrictions involved in going into the forest. You have to get the permission from the authorities, and you should have that gadgets, you should have that passion and time to go inside the forest. So it is very important for a photographer to go inside the forest, come out and tell the world that this is what is lying inside the forest. So it is important for the photographer to go inside the forest, and at the same time you should convey to your audience what you saw inside the forest. That is also very important, right? So this is the storytelling part. That is the second part of your conservation photography. First, the strong photo. Next, the storytelling. Third comes the platform, where you are going to post these videos and stories that you have written or you have made. You have many social media platforms available in our platform. There are so many social media platforms like WhatsApp. You can post it in your WhatsApp, in your friends group, in your relatives groups, etc., etc. You can post it in the Facebook. You can post it in Instagram, and these are the platforms which you can utilize for posting or uploading your videos and your stories. And in an average person spent about 200 minutes, 146 to 200 minutes before social media. That is what an average study says. So definitely you will get a huge audience for your photographs and your stories if you are posting to the social media. So this is how you can do it. Otherwise, you can start a blog. You can start your own blog. You can write about all these photographs and what you have observed and everything in a blog, and you can convey effectively to your audience what you have observed inside the forest, what is lying inside the forest. Or you can use your periodicals, the magazines, the newspapers. You can write articles, or you can ask somebody to write an article on your photograph, the photographs you have taken from the forest. You just show to him and say, this is just what I want to convey to the audience. You please write about it. And these writers will be, or the editors will be very happy to write about it, and they will publish it in their newspapers or their periodicals. And definitely you will be, and the audience will be benefited about it, and the authorities will be benefited. about. They will ponder over it, they will contemplate over this issue, and they will think, oh, so we have to take some rectification measures. We have to definitely take some solution. We have to find some solutions for this problem which is happening, whether it is poaching or smuggling or whatever it is. So we have to concentrate on that. Likewise, you can convey your message very clearly. So that is what the platform. Then the next come the call to action, that you wanted your audience, you wanted your authorities to take some action on it. So like that, there are so many ways. You can write petitions, you can sign petitions and send it to the authorities, or you can organize protest rallies, or so many things, so many ways you can convey, and you can force the authorities to take action, because it is very important to take action. Not storytelling or the photographs will not suffice. You have to tell the authorities that there is something wrong happening inside the forest, and you have to take action. And by these protest rallies and signed petition and all that, you can compel the authorities to control over that issue, and they will definitely take some action. So these are the 4 main ingredients for a conservation photograph to be effective conservation photograph. So next thing, to concluding the session, because I have got a very limited time given by AB, he was telling me that I have to restrict my session 10 minutes. So I think it is almost 10 minutes or maybe more than 10 minutes now. I don't know how much time I have taken already. So to conclude this session, I want to tell you some basic things to become a photographer. Nowadays, photography is something which is the easiest, the art, or maybe a person it is not dancing, singing, acting and all that are very difficult. But photography is very easy. Anybody can be a photographer. But if you want to be a good photographer, there are some difference between a good photographer and a DSLR operator. There is a famous saying like there are 2 types of photographers. One are DSLR operators and other is a photographer. So how you can become a photographer, I will tell you. See, as a photographer, always remember that you are not important. Okay, it is the species, the subject standing right in front of you is important. The animals, the birds, they are important. The species is important. You are not important. You have to always underplay yourself. Don't think that I'm a fantastic photographer, I'm a wildlife photographer and the people should notice me. Don't go for this National Geographic Channel photos. I want to take photos which has not taken by anybody in the world before. Don't think. That is actually, if you think that I want to get some fame out of this photography and I have to take a photograph which I have not taken by anybody in this world, and I want to take the picture of an elephant standing on the top of a tree in the Kabani forest, you are not going to get it. It is some sort of a mental perversion. It's not photography. So you have to understand the difference between taking good photos and, taking photographs out of, you want to get some, a celebrity status, a celebrity photographer status. Don't go for that. It will come. That moments will come to you. If you start loving the nature, these type of moments will come naturally to you. So you have to wait for that moment. You will get that photo. Everybody wanted to see. Everybody wanted their photograph to be noticed by the whole world, right? So that opportunity you will get. You have to wait. You start loving this nature, and this nature will definitely open its canopy, and one day you will get that dream photo you are searching for, right? So keep in mind, always do not leave your footprints inside the forest. When you are going to take a photograph, you don't leave your footprints there. Don't intimidate the animal. Don't intimidate the bird. Do it as discreetly as possible. Okay, this is the species that is important. Remember, as I have already told you, it is the species that is important. If only that species is available there, you as a photographer is there in this world. So you have to keep your footprints erased, and you just go to the forest silently by respecting them, because you are the intruder there. They are the inhabitants and you are an intruder. Try to understand the difference between an intruder and an inhabitant. You respect them, go to that place, take discreetly as possible, as unobtrusively as possible, and come back and show to the world that this is lying inside the forest. See, as a photographer, it is very important for you to keep a very low profile. Don't project yourself as a great photographer. Just don't project yourself as I am something special. The species is special. The animals, the birds are special, not you. Always remember this point in your mind, and always underplay yourself. Don't say, even if somebody is appreciating you, oh, fantastic photograph, you are such a fantastic photographer, tell them it is not like that. It is the animal was that beautiful elephant was there, that a lion was there, tiger was there, I took that photo, that's all. See, I have shown you the picture of that kingfisher when I was talking about the strong photos. That is not something which I have got or planned or stage managed. The God has given me an opportunity. And it is not possible for me to, okay, if I am paying 500 rupees to a boatman, he will place his boat there, he may even place his paddle there, but I cannot invite a kingfisher to come and sit there on the edge of that paddle, right? I cannot tell the sun to please rise at that place so that I can take a photograph of a kingfisher right in the middle of your glitter. It is not possible. I cannot stage manage it. So the nature, the God has given me an opportunity. What you have to do as a photographer is to just press your shutter. That's all. So always remember that as a photographer, you have to underplay yourself. You have to respect the nature, and if you want to keep this planet as greener as it is now, always remember that love nature. Photography should always come second. Is first and foremost is your respect towards the nature, and if you love the nature, all these things will naturally happen. So thank you once again for a patient hearing. You guys are doing a wonderful job. A big salute from the bottom of my heart once again, and please continue doing all these things. Thank you, Abhi. Thank you once again for giving me this opportunity. Thank you so much.